All right, let's talk about something that's honestly one of the most important parts of any solar setup, the MPPT charge controller. Think of it as the brain of your entire system. It's the thing that takes all that amazing power from your panels and safely gets it into your batteries.
And look, getting this wrong, it's a really big deal. We're not just talking about your system being a little less efficient. No. Pick the wrong one, and you could be looking at fried batteries, a serious fire risk, or just a dead system. You're left completely in the dark.
So, why does so many people get this wrong? Well, if you look at most of the guides out there, they're all about brand names, flashy features, comparing spec sheets, but they totally miss the most important part, the basic safety stuff that actually stops your system from blowing up. We're going to change that right now. Okay, so before you can pick the right one, you've got to understand what this little box is actually doing. Let's get past all the marketing fluff and look at how it really works. So, at its heart, an MPPT controller is basically just a super smart power converter. See, your solar panels have this perfect little sweet spot, a very specific voltage where they pump out the absolute maximum amount of power. The thing is, that sweet spot is always moving around depending on the sun, the clouds, the temperature. The MPPT's entire job is to constantly hunt for that exact spot and squeeze every single last watt it can out of your panels. And that is why they are worlds better than the old school PWM controllers. A PWM controller, it just forces the panel's voltage down to whatever the battery's at. It's crude, it's inefficient, it's like putting a governor on a race car. But in MPPT, it lets the panels run free, right where they're happiest and most powerful. And the result? You're looking at a 20, sometimes even 40% boost in the power you actually get to use. That's huge. And this right here, this is the secret sauce. This is the magic trick. It takes in that high voltage, low current power from the solar panels, and bam, it converts it into the low voltage, high current power your batteries need. Remember this conversion. High voltage in, high current out. It's the key to understanding, well, pretty much everything we're about to talk about. Okay, and that little magic trick brings us to the number one killer of charge controllers, the single biggest, most dangerous mistake people make. And you know what? It has nothing to do with watts or amps. It's all about voltage. So here's a weird little fact about solar panels that you have to know. The colder it gets outside, the higher their voltage climbs. It's called the open circuit voltage, or VOC. So imagine a super bright but freezing cold morning. Your panels can suddenly spike to a voltage that is way, way higher than what it says on the spec sheet. And here's what that looks like in the real world. You can have a solar array that's totally fine all summer long, but on that one cold winter morning, it spikes to, say, 148 volts. Now, if your controller is rated for 150 volts, man, you are playing with fire. And if it's only rated for 100 volts, it's already dead. Poof, gone. So let's be absolutely crystal clear. This is the golden rule. It's not a suggestion. Your panel's absolute maximum voltage, calculated for the coldest temperature your area has ever seen, it has to be less than your controller's max voltage rating. There's no close enough. Go over that limit for even a split second, and you've got a very expensive paperweight. All right, enough with the doom and gloom. That was the scary part. The good news is it's completely avoidable. So let's get into the solution. Here's a simple 5-step guide that will make sure you get this right every single time. First, we're going to double check that max voltage. Then we'll match the current to your specific battery bank. After that, we'll look at what efficiency really means in the real world. We'll also talk about thermal design, how it handles heat. And finally, we'll make sure it's actually compatible with your batteries. So step 1 is basically just making sure we nail that critical safety rule we just talked about. You literally have to look up the record low temperature for your location, do a little math with your panel specs to find that max cold voltage, and then make sure there's a good, healthy safety buffer between that number and your controller's limit. This is job 1. It's totally non-negotiable. Okay, step 2. Now we need to think about the output current. And this is where your battery voltage makes a massive difference. Take a look at this, a 1,000-watt array. If you're running a 12-volt battery system, you need a controller that can handle a whopping 83 amps. But with a 48-volt system, you only need one that can handle about 21 amps. See, that's that high voltage in, high current out conversion we talked about. Step 3 is about real-world efficiency. You might see one controller rated at 98% and a cheaper one at 94%, and you think, what's 4%? Well, over the 10, 15, or even 20-year life of your system, that tiny 4% adds up to a staggering amount of wasted energy. It's like throwing away hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars worth of power that your panels made, but never reached your batteries.
All right, step 4. Let's talk about heat. Heat is the #1 enemy of all electronics, and charge controllers are no exception. Pushing all that power around is hard work, and it gets hot. Now, if a controller can't cool itself off properly, it does something called derating. It basically chokes itself and reduces power to keep from melting down. So when you see a controller with a big, beefy heatsink, that's a good sign. It means it was built to handle the pressure when the sun is blazing.
And last but not least, step 5, battery compatibility. You've got to make sure your controller and your batteries speak the same language. This is super important with newer battery chemistries like lithium iron phosphate or LiFePO4. They have very, very specific needs for charging. If you use the wrong settings, you could slash the lifespan of your expensive batteries or even wreck them completely.
So here's the thing. You can have the best charge controller in the world, but it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It can't save a system that's built with other weak links. It's just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
I mean, think about it. You need the right size cables, otherwise you're just losing power and creating a fire hazard. You have to have proper fuses and disconnect switches, not just to protect your gear, but so you can work on it safely. And grounding, that's your only real defense if you get a lightning strike nearby. You skip any of this stuff, you're just rolling the dice. So when you're looking at all the options, you start to realize the choice isn't really about this brand versus that brand. It's about what you're really buying. Are you buying hype or are you buying solid engineering?
And this chart really breaks it down, doesn't it? The good stuff, the premium controllers, they cost more for a reason. They handle heat better so they don't slow down when they're working hard. Their MPPT tracking is smarter and faster, so they find that sweet spot and grab more power. They give you way more precise control over your battery charging. And honestly, they're just built to last.
So at the end of the day, a good charge controller isn't an expense. It's an investment. It's insurance for your whole system. It protects your panels, it makes your batteries live longer, and it's the one thing that guarantees the power you're making is safe, reliable, and there for you when you flick the switch.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Is your system, the one you have now or the one you're dreaming of building, is it based on marketing slogans and flashy ads, or is it built on math, on solid engineering principles? Because your answer to that question will determine whether your system is reliable or just a liability.